I came up with this idea that I just want to riff on. It's kind of less of an idea and more of a concept, and that is the concept of possibly using something like Pinia, which is a state management library. For those of you that don't know, it allows you to manage state using Vue, and it's very simple. It doesn't do very much. It simply allows you to manage state using the composition API in a really nice way. So it's actually not very dissimilar to managing state using the composition API alone. It almost just makes it easier, adds a few things here and there to make the concept of getters and actions a little bit simpler, and does like a little bit of merging, and also allows it to work with SSR. So basically, it handles all the finicky, annoying stuff around managing state with the composition API. So that's Pinia. And a lot of you might know this. Many people actually don't. But Pinia is actually based on one of Vue's RFCs, the Vue RFC for Vuex 5. So Pinia is coming from a lot of ideas with Vuex 5. In fact, the guy that created it, Eduardo, he's part of the Vue core team, and he's helping to develop Vuex 5. So when you think Pinia, originally I used to think, well, it's just kind of this like third-party library that is off to the side, and it's something that I don't really want to touch because I'd rather wait till Vuex 5. But my thinking around this has completely changed, and here's one of the reasons why. I think that it wouldn't actually be too difficult, and it might even make a lot of sense to use both Pinia and Vuex 5 in one project. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that it's ideal to use both in one project, but if you are using Pinia in your project and then eventually Vuex 5 comes out and you decide, you know what, I want to go over to Vuex 5 now. In that case, there's no reason that you couldn't use the both in tandem, at least like while you're making the switch. And the reason is Vuex 5 and Pinia, they're not actually going to be doing much. All they're really doing is having a place for you to store your data, but also making it a little bit easier to get the data in there and get it out of there in the first place. So for example, let's say you start building a project. I'm going to use a silly example just to sort of demonstrate this. But you use Pinia to create a post model, or to save all of your post-related data. And then you decide, I'm going to use Vuex 5, and I'm going to start using Vuex 5 from now on, and it's going to have my comments data. So in order to get your comments data from your Pinia 5, not Pinia 5, I'm sort of muddling my thoughts now. If you want to get your comments based on some post data inside of Pinia, that's not very difficult to do. It's not very difficult to be in Pinia and then dive into another state library and basically pull data out of there. And I can't imagine you're going to get a performance hit either. At the end of the day, all they're really doing is making it easier for you to access reactive properties, for you to create computed properties, and for you to access all of that stuff and then just package it up in a nice way when it's exported. And yeah, so for that reason, I'm thinking to myself, I think I might just start using Pinia at work. It's a wonderful library. And you know what? Maybe Vuex 5 will come along. I'll look at the feature set and say, I'm not sure I actually need this. Maybe Pinia does everything that I need. And the reason I had this thought in the first place is I'm starting to use, just for very basic state management stuff, I'm starting to just use the composition API because it's so much simpler. To me, simply using the composition API, and I'm not dealing with SSR, granted, but simply using the composition API to manage my data is actually so much easier than using Vuex. At least Vuex in its current state. Vuex 5, once again, Vuex 5 is going to be a lot simpler. Things are going to be simplified and it's going to be a lot easier to use, basically. And so, yeah, I'm thinking, you know what? Why not just introduce Pinia into my project? It really isn't doing that much under the hood. I get the benefits of DevTools because Pinia's got really nice DevTools integration. And I just thought I'd kind of share that with all of you in this podcast that, oh, my phone's going off. It's telling me that it's time to take a break. Thought I'd sort of share that concept with all of you in this podcast. But hey, if you're on YouTube, let me know in the comments. Do you think that this is a terrible idea? And if so, why? Maybe you can stop me from making a huge mistake. But yeah, I'm just starting to realize that the composition API is doing such a great job of pulling these technologies apart and having them, like, I like to think of them as services, having them in like all these different services that you can access in other components. And because it does such a great job pulling all of your code apart, yeah, it's not such a crazy idea to start mixing state management libraries if you're moving from one to another. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this one. I certainly enjoyed recording it for you. I haven't recorded a podcast in a while because I've been working on quasarnews.com. And if you haven't checked that out, then definitely check out quasarnews.com. We're going to be doing a consistent Quasar newsletter. It's probably going to be monthly to begin with. I haven't decided yet. And along with that is going to be the new Quasar News podcast. So if you want to stay up to date on the latest Quasar, Vue, and also just like normal sort of web-based news, then definitely go ahead and check out quasar-news.com. I forgot the dash. I've got to get used to saying that. Quasar-news.com. Yeah, and of course, if you haven't already, check out quasarcomponents.com if you want to learn about all of Quasar's components, all 72 of them. Turns out there's actually more than 72. I didn't realize that a lot of the pages actually have more than one component per page, and so I counted them wrong. So that's kind of cool, though. There's even more than 72. Anywho, I'm going to wrap this one up, but before I go, as always, remember, there is nothing you can't build.